Okay, we're now going to move on to Shockwave, but before that, I forgot something. I wanted to mention Axiom Solver, which is a brand new powerful solver released by Matt. I will leave a link in the description if you want to look at it. It is actually free, and here's the video preview of the Axiom Solver. So I'm currently working on getting the Explosion with Trails updated to Axiom Solver also. So here's a preview of that one. This is only my initial tests. I haven't worked on the shader part of it yet, but it looks amazing and is extremely fast. What you're looking at right now is a cached result, but let me just show you the. So if this is actually not a cached result, okay? And I will enable this. There you go. I'm gonna run this now. Watch how fast it is. It's ridiculously fast. I mean, the details is just incredible. So anyway, so I'm working on it. I thought I'll let you know, and an update will be out soon, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. I'll let you know. All right. So I wanted to let you know about that. So let's move back onto the Shockwave. I'm just gonna do the split screen one more time. Okay, we're gonna look at the Shockwave now. I'm gonna open the Shockwave in the new one. Here it is. And Shockwave in the old one. There you go. So all of these nodes are white, which means no modifications have been made. PopNet has been changed, but we got some yellow nodes here representing they're new. So this one is an object merge, and that comes from flare source out points. Now, if I go back out and go to flare source, and guess where the out points are? It is right here. Okay, and that is the place where you get the points based on your selections here. Okay, so I'm bringing that in and I'm copying the sphere across to those points in here. Okay, using the copy to points, and I created a new attribute randomize, and I will show you that now, which wasn't there before. Just pull this out and expand this. So let me select that. Okay, good. Currently, that's how it looks. Okay, and without the attribute randomize, that's how it looks. I just wanted to create that randomization a little bit. And if you look at the options, I've added a global seed. I don't think previously it was like that. Of course, it's not, because there was no variation. No matter. Let me see if I can expand this. This is the original. Okay, so I'm just gonna enable V here. So there it is. And if I run this, there is no variation of velocity there at all. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. Oh no, crashed. And that's what I wanted to do here. So there it is. Okay, it changes. Maybe I should have added the global seed here, which I will now. And I'm gonna say plus relative references. There you go. Okay, good. Yeah, that's that, and there you go. It changes now. That's good. And if I change this, if I delete this and change it, yeah, you can see that it's changing. That's good. All right, perfect. So that's what that is. And as usual, copy the points. It just brings there you go, the bursts across. All right, good. So PopNet is purple, representing that it has been changed, and it's probably time I dive into this one. Okay, so as you can see, this is purple, meaning it's modified, and let's just go through that for now. All right, source is the same. Birth, the constant activation is 1. It was originally referring to the flare source. and which means that that was tied to the frame number. It's no longer tied to the frame number, okay? And the constant birth rate, I've changed it from 200,000 to 100,000, and the seed is now connected to the frame and the seed, okay? It was originally just the seed, okay? So that's that. And the attributes, I have used the inherited velocity, but I have changed the inherited velocity based on random frame as well. And it is ranging from 8 to 10. Originally it was only 2. So now the velocity will be either a number in between 8 and 10. Okay, next one is the pop drag, which is a new node. I have also added that variation onto here per frame, 0.1 to 0.3. It wasn't there originally. You can probably add the seeds to these ones as well if you want, but I left them as it is. It's just based on the frame instead of seed and frame. Okay, good. So I'm going to get out of here, and those are the changes right there. So that's PopNet and create fuel. What has changed here? Let's go and check it out. If I get out of here and create fuel, so in here I have added density, temperature, velocity. Originally it was fuel and temperature. I changed that to density, temperature, velocity here, okay? And the scales are slightly different. These were 2 and these are all just 1, okay? And let me see here, attribute noise. Attribute noise was originally disabled anyway, so I deleted it to keep it clean. Rasterize, I added the new elements that are coming in compared to the original. Okay. And obviously I changed the voxel size reference to SWSRC because they were originally connected to main source. Okay, so that's that. All right. You can also see that I have changed the shutter offset to -1 from 1 because with -1, it's probably better for me to show you that. And let's go. Right, there you go. So if I now change this shutter offset to 1, so it actually moves further. And what that means is it's looking at a frame ahead if it's 1, and if it's -1, it's looking at a frame behind, okay? And I wanted the one that looks at the frame behind, okay? So that's what that is. That's good. Just gonna go back and make this smaller again, or split screen. So that's our Shockwave technically done, okay? I'll move on to trails now, all right? Okay, we're going to look at trails now. Okay, let's just jump in. I'm going to make this bigger. And here, trails, I'm going to make this bigger also. So here are a bunch of white nodes, and that sphere, nothing has been changed here, but I'll go through that anyway. Clip, transform, initialize velocity. It's all the same. So point velocity has been changed. Well, it's actually a new node, as you can see here. All of these are new nodes, so I'm just going to make this, okay? And I'm going to get rid of that one. That's good. All right, so this is a new node, and I'm keeping the incoming because we have already generated the velocity here. Maybe I should just disable add velocity because you don't need that. It's 0, 0, 0. Curl noise. So I've added curl noise, and you can copy the parameters here. Let me actually enable this and show it to you. There you go. Whoa, that's crazy. All right. Anyway, so maybe I will, just for now, I will decrease this so you can see better, and then I will put that back to 100. So that's how it looks like. So there are your parameters. If I don't add the curl noise, that's how it's going to look. So it's better off that way. And then it's animated as well. So if I uncheck that, Yeah, it's still animated, but it's better. Okay. So I added conical noise, exactly the same, but looks like I've made the same mistake here as well, because well, actually neither of them are moving, so let me go and fix those. So both of these have these numbers added outside of the brackets, so I'm just going to put them both inside, and oops, that's wrong, and that should be plus there. Okay, that's better. So it's pretty much the same expression as before. Random frame, this one is +2 and +3 and 0 to 180. Global seed is -99. I could change that also, but I didn't do it. Anyway, so I'm gonna just make sure that these work. So there you go. So that works nice. That's good. All right, next is attribute noise. I've added attribute noise, and without it, with it. Okay. So again, these are arbitrary. You don't have to add these because we've already changed the velocity so much. But I added it anyway, and so just like before, operations multiply, and I enabled this. And I think, in fact, this is going to be a copy of what I probably did here. Attribute noise. Yeah, this is actually a copy, all right? So if I just look at this, just added a +2 here instead of this one. This is from the flare source, okay? And noise type is fast noise on both, all right? So it's pretty much the same, pretty much identical. As you can see, these numbers, they're all identical. So yeah, it's a copy from flare source attribute noise, okay? So that's what that is, and let me just double check. All right, yeah, that's working. And does that change? Yeah, it does. Okay, good. So that's all doing well. So here is the important part. So as you know, in 18.5, we have a trails node, Pyro trail source node, which is actually very, very good. But I didn't use it. I use my own method here. But obviously you can use this and bypassing all of this here if you want, okay? But let me show you what's going on here, right? So I've said here these red colored, okay, well I changed them to yellow now. These point wrangles may be a better way. Okay, right, that's good. I changed it. Let me save this now. Okay, good. So here, so there's your attribute, which is the incoming velocity, and it's a point class, and the scope is on all three axes. I'm adjusting the value, it's direction only. So you have direction and length. I'm only using direction. I don't need the length. The operation is I want to rotate it, okay? In which direction? I want to rotate it in the X direction. Adjust with a constant, and the rotating angle is -180. I left it like that, okay? Basically, I'm inversing what's coming in to here. And then in the attribute adjust to, I'm pretty much doing the same, except the axis of rotation is in the y-axis, and I'm rotating as per this random expression here, okay? There's no post-process or anything like that. That's fine. So it's just going to rotate like crazy. And then the third one, I'm doing the same. Everything is the same except for this is in the Z direction this time, and I'm rotating in the -90 and between -90 and +90. Okay, good. Now, so here is the absolute value of all of those. So it goes in one direction. And the reason I'm doing this before I explain this is because the trails, you'd prefer to see the trails coming from one direction only, either here or there, or sometimes in both directions all over the place. It's up to you, And all of these are also randomized, okay? So depending on what you're going to get is randomized. So if I choose the switch, currently the input is coming into here, okay? And if I enable the camera, so the particles are going to go that way, which are the trail particles. And if I move one frame, it's the same. Third, fourth, there you go. let's keep changing, okay? And maybe it's better I'll first look at it from up here. So as you can see, it changes directions. And again, you know, you have full control of this. You know, you don't have to do this, but anyway, you have it. And this is a fantastic technique because now if I go into PopNet, you'll see it's going that way. You know, and if I adjust the seed and all, it's going to change. All right. So anyway, let me go through this. All right. So here, it's going that way, and it's going to keep there, but change the. It gives you a varying velocity within this region here. Okay. And then in the negative z direction, it's going to keep it there, but with varying velocity, a variation in velocity over frame numbers, okay? And then here, which is the negative x, is the same as negative z, as well as the positive z, okay? Positive y, which is that way, because if you remember, I think this one is there. Positive y is basically everywhere, okay? Again, if you're not, you know, happy with this, you can just disable this or disconnect it or whatever. All right. So this switch is based on a random number plus the seed, which I've already connected, and I've set the input numbers 0 to 4. There are a total of 5 inputs. So the first input starts at 0. So you've got 5 inputs here. So this switch will just select one of those inputs coming in based on its random value. So that's why you get a varying trails. Okay. So that's what that is. I'm just going to delete this Pyro trails. This is a very useful node. As I said, you know, you have a lot of controls over components and, you know, trail shape and its length and whatnot. You can use that if you want. I was pretty satisfied with that. Maybe in the future I will make it better, but for now, this is pretty good. Right, so and then just the usual. I'm bringing in the out points from flare source. If you remember, they are the points which gives us you know, starting frame and, you know, the burst frame and the number of points and whatnot. Okay, so I'm bringing that across and copying it to these. Copying these across to those points. So you will see here. There you go. Comes up. All right, good. And then there is the PopNet. So here, obviously, I've changed something because this is purple. So I'm going to have to expand this and go to the other one. Set up the split screen now. Okay, so here is the PopNet. And on this side, I'm going to open this up. All right. So nothing major has changed here. As you can see, pop drag, pop property are all the same. Okay. I mean, obviously, you know, you have full control, so you can modify these whatever way you want. You know, again, I've explained all of this in the previous tutorial series. Please go check that out. It is definitely worth it. But you got to be patient. You know, it's a pretty long tutorial. Anyway, so I'm just going to look at the source now, just to see what's going on. So both of these sources, nothing has changed here. Birth, what has changed here? Again, it was originally tied to frame number 6. It's no longer the case here. In here, the seed, and then plus 1, 2, 3, 4 is the same here. Maybe I should tie this with the frame number also. I'll just put that in here. Okay, that's good. The life expectancy, life variance, and jitter birth time. Life expectancy and life variance are the same, but the jitter birth, I've changed it to none. Okay, it was originally negative. All right, good. Let's move on to attributes. Originally, it was 4 standard, or just a stationary value, a constant value, stationary, constant value. And then in here, I've changed it to be based on the frame number. The velocity will range between 8 and 10. And this is important because sometimes I wanted to see a variation in the trail's length based on the frame. You know, Maybe I should change it to the seed as well. So I might do that right now. Oops, going to the wrong place. Give me a second. I should change it to seed as well. So copy this. Go back. No, trail source. And base relative reference plus. Okay, good. So now it will change. Let me just make this one. So there you go. It's changing the current tag. All right, good. Okay, that's all looking good. Perfect. So that's all the changes in PopNet. Well, basically a couple of changes. So that's about it. And I'm going to go out. And here in the trail, I have modified something. So the trail length is now set to 2. Originally, it was 8. And nothing has been changed here. The reason why trail length is set to 2 is because originally the trail length was 8. It was pretty long. And I will show you, in fact, I'm just going to show it to you right now, okay? So out here, if I look at the render Pyro import, you see this. This is basically the trails out, okay? And that out trails is this one. This one, which is literally a rasterized input that is supposed to go into the Pyro sim. I'm using that to bring it to Pyro look node, which is then used as a secondary fire. Okay, that's why I reduced it. Maybe I can show it to you here. Okay, so if I zoom in here, right? So you see these things right here. And that, guess where that comes from? There, exactly, right? So if I were to reduce the trails or increase the trails, you see? That's what you will get. And you'll eventually end up with that being there all the way through. And I don't want that. That's why I reduced it to 2. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. This is a new thing that 18.5 side effects has introduced, and side effects used pretty much the same technique, and I literally just copied that across. Okay, so it works for us. It's not a problem, so that's good. So that's that explained. And add, nothing has been changed. Let me just go to split screen again. Okay, so nothing has been changed to add. Resample, they're all the same. Jitter scale. Yeah, nothing has been changed here either. Jitter noise have been changed a little bit. Let me just go and check what's going on. I think I changed the turbulent noise, to be honest. Yeah, so the amplitude was 1, and I changed it to 0.4. And that's about it. Nothing else has been changed. I just reduced it a little bit. It was just too much. Okay. So I added a time warp node here. Yeah, so interpolate between input frames. I've added that, and I explained to you guys what it was previously. So I did mention that it needs to go before trail, I think, if I think about it. I think it was in the flare source. Yeah, I put that before trail. Apologies, it actually has to be after. Okay, because I know that, I'm sure about that because I know this worked. You know, that's why. All right. So I'm just literally going to copy this time warp and put it here. Again, I forgot where it was. After the jitter noise. Okay. Okay, I'll put it right here, and I will delete that. Okay, good. But I will change this to $RF end and $RF end as well. But if you have trouble with this or anything, you know where to put it. You know, you can try it out. Okay. But anyway, that's that. I'm just gonna go back to trail. And I will change this to $RF end as well as this one here. Okay, good. So next is normal. Oh, actually polywire deleted. So I no longer needed polywire, so I deleted it. The normal is the same. Initial temperature and noise up temperatures deleted because we didn't really need to noise up anything here anymore because these are trails and I just wanted it clean. But you can use it if you want. I don't think the speed works very well, but yeah, I didn't use the speed. I ended up deleting it in the tutorial. So you can use that if you want, but I've deleted it. I didn't need it. Create fuel now is different, obviously. Here, originally I only created temperature, and here I am creating trail underscore temperature. If you use the shelf tool, ground explosion, you'll know that the trail temperature is the one that is being used there. I literally just use the same technique here and I copied that across, okay? So it's custom trail temperature. And the rasterize will be trail temperature, as well as this one has been changed to the appropriate source because the original one had main source on it, okay? Okay, good. So rest of them are all the same, as you can see. Except for velocity blur, I decided to disable it because it looked, I guess, better without the velocity blur. Because when you put the velocity blur, you lose some definition. Of course, you get the real life. In fact, I'm just going to show it to you. Okay, so there it is, without velocity blur, with velocity blur. Okay, it's going to look like that. It's up to you. If you want to use it, go ahead. You can. All right. There's no harm in that. It's fine. Okay, good. I'm just going to make this big and split screen. Okay. So attribute noise was originally disabled and I deleted it here just to keep it clean. Okay. So that's that. So let me just delete that. I thought I deleted that before. So please remember about the time warp. I'm confused myself and I probably got you confused as well. But it comes after the trail node, okay? And I changed it in the flare source as well to come after the jitter noise. It was originally, I told you guys it was going to be before the trail, okay? So while I was going through the tutorial myself, I realized that I missed these things here. So I'm just going to go through them now before we dive into the actual solver. So if I go back into flare source, and this is flare source as well, so I deleted the switch. Originally, if you remember, I said to you guys that we don't need the input coming in after a certain point because we are changing the temperature and fuel within the Pyro sim to 0 after a certain point, which is probably frame number 9. And we basically switched it to no input so that the sim does not read what's coming in anymore. Or even if it does, it reads nothing. You don't have that anymore because everything is controlled by this control panel here, okay? Therefore, it's not tied to a particular frame number or anything like that, all right? That's good. So, and the color, sorry, I'm going back up now. So the switch is deleted here. So here, I've explained the rearrange burn as well. So I've stated here, rearrange burn temperature manipulation is not recommended as you will get drastic results. It is not recommended. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but you just go ahead and change these and see how it looks. My suggestion is that you create these files and keep it aside and create a copy of the same file and play around with that. Okay. So those two are now covered. That's good. I'm just going to minimize, pull this down a little bit here. All right. So these are really the 4 things that are going to be, these are really the 3 things that are going to be plugged into our sim. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the simulation right now. So I'm going to open it up. I will come back to the trail, Sparks and Embers shortly. Looks much simpler, obviously, compared to this simulation. So here, there is one thing in the new one that I omitted, okay? I didn't want to use it. We'll come to that at the end, all right? In fact, I'm just going to say that out right now. See where you got this apply data sub geo, which then connects to gas particle to field, okay? So let me just try and run this for a second. Just give me a second. I think we spent a fair bit of time trying to get this, okay? So these are the smoke trails that you get with the flash lines, if you remember from the original. I changed the flash lines name to Sparks in the new one. But anyway, so originally it was called flash lines. So the flash lines here came out and there were some smoke associated with that. And this apply data business here is related to the smoke, okay? That is no longer available here, okay? I removed it because I thought it was an overkill. However, if you want it, I will, in fact, open up a file right now and I'll show it to you. So you've got your apply data. Apply data is the same in SOP Geo. SOP Geo now looks at Sparks, out Sparks. Originally, it was flash lines, out flash lines, okay? Conventionally, I'm not very good at naming. You probably figured that out by now. But anyway, it's set always, all the same. I think I made one little change here in gas particle to field. So if I look at gas particle to field here, the new one's destination field is actually density, and the original was fuel. And the attribute did not change. Everything else is probably the same. Yes, everything else is the same. It works, and this is set to set initial. But you can change this to set always, I guess. I might as well set it now. That's good. Right, so the only change is the destination field. Okay, good. So I've done that now. Okay, I'm just going to move on to the other one. All right, I'll bring up the reference file now. This was just, I wanted to show you that because I didn't use this in the new one, but it is there. You can code it if you want. All right. Okay, so here's the original now. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this now. So I've now introduced smoke object, which is the Sparse solver. Okay, originally it was just the legacy or the old smoke object. Nothing really new there. Everything here is probably changed. Okay, apart from, well, I guess the yellow, the color codes represent what's changed and whatnot. Okay, so anyway, so this is a new node, so I might as well go through it here. So I've enabled sparse solving, and voxel size is 0.1, and this gives pretty good definite resolution anyway. You don't have to go down any further. I've closed the negative y-axis, and in here I changed the density scale to 10 and the emission scale to 100, temperature, etc., etc. So this is for visualization only. Okay, so here are everything, and I actually believe that this could be from, let me just double check, smoke object sparse. If I go into multi-field, yeah, I put those in, or I actually got them from shelf tool. Maybe it is from the ground explosion shelf tool. Okay, let me just open up a new file and figure that out. Just give me a second. So I created these two nodes by literally just using ground explosion shelf tool. And if I go inside of Pyro solver, inside of Pyro, under, I think it's called the multi-field, guess where it is from? It's from here. So I must have used the shelf tool for that. Okay, I think the density scale is a little bit different. So yeah, there. But you can copy these values if you want. Okay, so that's what that is. So nothing really major there. Gas vortex boost. Did I have that here? No, I didn't. I did a tutorial some time ago called Simple 6C Explosion. I used gas vortex boost on that one, okay? And it's pretty much the reason why I used it here, and it really gives you that vortexy kind of boost. You can play around with these values, but for now, this is what I used. If you use too much of swirl size, you will see it like very obvious, difference. Gas dissipate. I had a problem with using gas dissipate here in the shape, okay, and that's why I put in a microsolver instead. So I changed the diffusion to 0.02, and that's about it. I cannot remember why I didn't use this, okay. There was some kind of issue. I don't know what it was. It's probably to do with this evaporation rate, in fact, if I remember. Just give me a second. So if I enable dissipation here, yeah, I don't have the evaporation rate, but in here I do. Although with my initial testings, I did have the evaporation rates turned on, like, I don't know, 0.5 or something. I decided to set it to 0, so you can just get away with using this dissipation if you want. Okay, that's good, I remembered. But anyway, these are new nodes. Obviously, it's not going to be here because it's yellow. Right, so these are the 3 sources that have been modified from the original. So the volume source itself hasn't changed because you don't have a sparse volume source. You just regular volume source. Okay, so no different there. So let me go through the SW source first, which is, well, the first one here, I guess. Where is it? It's here, right. So let me pull this down a little bit. Okay, so this is all the same. This is all the same, as you can see. In the volumes, so you've got these new fields now. Even though you don't have volume source sparse, you have these new fields, which, in fact, was there originally as well. Sorry, my apologies. So I checked this, and this is important to check because this is the reason why the box expands, right? So let me actually show it to you. Okay, let me make this full screen. See this box here? If you don't have this checked, and if it doesn't start from where it is located right now, it won't go out and look for it. And it's important that you check it. So if the explosion were to start here, then it will go look for that wherever it goes if you put that enlarge fields to contain sources. Okay, so that's what that is. All right, good. Okay, good. Right, back to split screen. Okay, so SW source, there it is. So that's what that is. So here, as you know, in 18.5, in fact, even in 18 Sparse, they changed things where you don't need to bring in fuel anymore. It's about burn and flames. Okay. So originally I was bringing in fuel, and I'm this time not bringing in fuel, okay, at all. But here it is. So I'm bringing in density. I'm adding it, and with the scale of 2. I've explained these operations in the previous tutorial. Please go check that out because these operations are very critical to understand, because anything you do here will have an impact on the sim. Of course, anything you do anywhere will have an impact on the sim, but these ones particularly have a big impact. Okay, so originally it was 0.2, and this time it's 2. I'm bringing in the source volume temperature and adding it to the target field density. You got to remember one thing. So the reason why I'm adding density, and temperature to density is because I don't want any fuel or burn to be generated from the shockwave. I want the shockwave to be smoke as much as possible, okay, or dust, or whatever you want to call it. I don't want it to generate any further fuel, okay, so that's why I'm doing it. I hope you understand that. So operation is add, and it's 0.1. It was originally just add. I'm bringing in velocity, and I'm adding it to 10. In fact, it's probably time for me to show you this, right? So I'll just disconnect this. I'll expand this for a second. So if I look from up here, I'm going to run this. See how it just goes out. To me, it looks beautiful. Of course, if you don't like it, you know, it's up to you. And that, to me, tells me it's a shockwave. Boom. All right. Now, if I were to bring this scale down to 1, guess what will happen? It'll just be a big blob. Okay. It'll eventually expand, but not that much. Okay. And all of these little things, it's just not very cool looking. Okay. So that's why that is. And if I add, like, let's say burn in the target field here in place of density, it will start generating some power in there. Okay. For you know, like for example, let me just go out and look at Pyro import here and look at it from the shader perspective. Okay. Okay, well, it's not really generating anything here at the moment. That may be because we're not actually rasterizing. Yeah, there's no burn here, so that's probably why. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I should change it to something else. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, so now you can see what's happening. See all of this kind of flamey things that are being taken into consideration for the shockwave. Okay, and this is why I didn't want that. I wanted it to be just density. Okay, just smoke, because as you can see, this is not good. Okay, maybe this is something you like. I don't know. Maybe you want to do it. Not in our case. Okay, I wanted to show you that. All right. So I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna put this back to density. Okay. Hopefully it is returned to normal. Unless I messed something up. Nope, I don't think so. So that's all looking good. All right, good. That's great. Great stuff. Okay. So let me go back into Pyro. So that's what that is. I'm just going to expand this. Okay. So we got density, add 2, temperature density, 0.1, velocity, 10. I've explained that. Divergence is what expands it, you know, expands the smoke. So if I leave it at 0, I don't know if you see a lot of difference in this, but let me just try it out for a second. Okay, I don't remember because I've been working on this for a while now. So okay, so that's how it looks like right now. Let me just take a flipbook of that to 14. Okay, so here is with divergence of 0. Here is divergence of 25. Okay, so there it is. I only did 16 frames, so it's probably 14 frames. So here is the 14th frame on this side. So as you can see, there is a little bit more density, and it's got a lot more, you know, punch to it. So that's what I like, and that's why I chose divergence. It's actually expanding it a little bit as well. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. I mean, obviously you don't need to add it, but it's up to you. If I were to say like 1,000, you'll see significant difference there. Oh, stop, please. Okay, so that's what divergence does. It actually just expands it. All right. So I'm going to leave it at 25. That is good. So we are done with Shockwave. I'm just going to look at the trails now. So trails. Oh, if you were wondering why earlier when we were looking at this, we were still getting trails even though it wasn't connected in the Pyro sim. The reason is because it's actually coming off the source, okay? It's not coming off the simulation. That's why. Just wanted to point that out, right? Good. I'm just going to go back into the Pyro sim. Okay, so let's look at the trails. I'm going to expand this and split the screen. Okay, I got trails selected, and I think here's the trail source. So source fuel is the same here as well. Okay, both are the same. That's good. I've enabled enlarged fields to contain sources. Originally, it wasn't there. Okay. Here, if you look at the source volume now, it's actually trail temperature, the one we rasterized earlier. I'm targeting temperature field with that source volume. Okay, which makes sense, right? Originally, it was copy. This time, I'm adding it. Okay, and a scale of 1. All right, good. I hope, again, as I mentioned, operation is very important. I've covered this before, so please check it out. All right, I'm using the same source volume, trail temperature, and targeting density here, and add operation with a scale of 2. Originally, it was temperature to temperature, and it was copy. Okay, so there are the differences, and the third one is, in fact, you know what? I think I should show you. You need to know. Probably it's better off. Here is with all the default settings that I just explained to you. Okay, so if I now set it to camera 1, I'm going to run this and I'll come back. Okay, I just ran about 18 frames, so this is what you can, maybe I should change this to dark background. There you go. So you can see that's what is happening. It's a multi-burst. As you can see, is 1, 2, 3, 4, I think in total. All right, so that's what you get default. So if I were to change this to, let's say, this one was add, and this one, oh, no, sorry. If this was to be copy, and this was to be copy, you'll see a significant difference. Let me see if I can show it to you. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll do a flipbook and I'll show it to you, because right now it looks pretty much the same. All right, so I'm gonna run this. Okay, so the one on the right hand side is a copy, and the one on the left hand side is an add. Okay, and here's how it looks. They pretty much look the same. As I mentioned to you earlier, the significant difference isn't really coming into play at this level because the values are pretty low. Okay, but let me tell you what the differences are. Here, what's this one, right? So here you've got a little bit of wavy thing going on, but you see here this bumps, this kind of bumps here. That is basically addition. The temperature, our density, is being added on top of what is going on. Copy doesn't do that, and that's why I wanted this. So in extreme cases, if you want to see extreme cases of addition, if I change this to 10 and this to just add a 0, you'll see significant difference. So suddenly there's significant amount of stuff being added on top. Okay, and you'll see this bellowy thing coming up. Okay, that's add, right? So I just wanted to mention that to you. All right. So I'll put that back both to add, and that's what I want. Again, you can change it if you don't like that, and if you want to keep it to copy, then yes, please go ahead. All right, I'm going to go back to the split screen now. Okay, finally, we're going to look at the flare source itself. Okay, and the flare source here. Okay, so source fuel out flares just like before. Here I've taken on enlarged fields to contain sources. Originally I was bringing in fuel, and here is where I simulated the fuel. After a certain frame it'll go down to 0. Okay, I think if I just scroll this, so at the 10th frame it goes to 0. None of that happens here because we have defined all of this in the source itself. Okay, And this is where this rearrange burn comes into play. Okay, it is now tied to the particle's age, so you don't need to tie it to frame number. All right, much more simple, much simpler. Okay. Okay, good. So that's flare. So I added source volume is burn because that's what I'm bringing in, and then the target is flame, and I'm adding it 7 times. Okay, I mean these are arbitrary numbers. I played around with that quite a lot to get this number. The next one is the temperature. Temperature is fine. Originally it was copy, and now I'm adding it. And I told you the difference between the two. I'm bringing in vector, which is a velocity. Sorry, velocity, which is a vector. And I'm gonna talk about this now. Okay, so this is a SOP mask, which is basically name of the SOP scalar volume by which the source volume is multiplied before merging. Okay, this is an important one. If you don't do this, it's going to look not so cool. Okay, and I'll show you what that is now. But notice the operation is copy and the scale is 10. Okay. And then I'm bringing in burn. Target field is divergence. I'm using the burn for divergence. Scale is 100, and I'm adding it. Divergence, you know what that is. It's just going to make it grow. And density, I'm adding. No big deal there. But I'm only bringing in 3 elements here. There are 5 here. Okay. So I'm going to connect this, just this alone, and delete them. I'm going to expand this. I'm going to save this for now, and let me show you what we currently have. So maybe it's better if I run a little flipbook so we can compare it. Okay, so this is the one with the temperature mask. This is the one without the temperature mask. Okay, so if you look at this, that looks pretty sweet. Okay, so it just comes out and then goes like that. It's pretty awesome. And guess what this does? Whoa, you see that? All of the velocity multiplier, which is value of 10, is coming into play. Okay, and this is why that SOP mask is so important. Do you see the significant difference between the two? Okay, so that's what that SOP mask does, and it's not only cooler, but also you can control it. Okay, all right, that's good. So we got that done. So let's move on. So those are the 3 sources, and just going to disconnect this and then connect it again so it forms correctly. Okay, so that's that. And finally, the Pyro solver. Okay,